morning. Welcome to Talkline on the MetroNews Radio Network.
Do not attempt to change the station. You are surrounded.
We interrupt this program to bring you an emergency news bulletin. Repeat, this is an emergency bulletin. Keep your radio turned on.
Holy smoke.
From the studios of the West Virginia Radio Corporation and the MetroNews Radio Network, the voice of West Virginia, comes the most powerful radio show in West Virginia. This is MetroNews Talkline with Hoppy Kercheval.
Check set line up, link. Activated Telos telephone. Switch network control from Charleston to Morgantown.
Stand by. Q Hoppy. You're on.
Good morning. Welcome to Talkline on MetroNews in and around the great state of West Virginia. Hoppy Kercheval with you. Joe Nelson, our producer. Deborah Martinelli handling the video stream. You can watch us at wvmetronews.com. Our phone number, 1-800-765-8255. Email me, talkline at wvmetronews.com. Send me a tweet at Hoppy Kercheval. Text me 304-TALK 304. Certainly hope you had a blessed and enjoyable Christmas. Unfortunately, as sometimes happens, there's been a lot of tragedy over this Christmas period and a lot of damage from storms, from violence, and we're going to, just occurred to me, it's not a very good way to start the show, but that is how we're starting the show. And we'll get an update on that and find out what happened not only in West Virginia, but also across the country. Also, this warm weather is really hurting the ski industry. We'll get the word on that. And also, you may have noticed that the flowers are blooming. Could cause some problems there. Is that going to affect your spring flowers, or what's the deal? Well, we know it's warm, but... So all that and much, much more coming up this morning on MetroNews Talkline. We're going to start, though, with some of the bad news, unfortunately, and that is there was a standoff with police in Martinsburg. We'll get to that in just a moment with Hans Fogel of WEPM in Martinsburg. But we'll start with Jeff Jenkins of MetroNews and Christmas Day flooding. Jeff, in the greater Kanawha County area, greater Charleston area. Good morning. What happened, and how bad was it?
About 10 o'clock, Hoppy. Morning, as you mentioned.
Christmas morning?
Yes, Christmas morning, about 10 o'clock. Just downpour, heavy downpours. And it rained more than an inch in a very short period of time. So you had situations where drainage areas just could not handle it. And it was more than just a nuisance flooding, because I think that, as we surveyed the area and we started to get reports and you saw some of the damage, it was pretty widespread. Mm-hmm. I mean, St. Albans, Cross Lanes, Sissonville area, the Lotus Drive area, Sissonville. We had some photos of that area, the Clendenin area up on the Elk River. And so it was, and then in parts of Putnam County. So parts of eastern Putnam County were hit. So it was pretty widespread, and you had these just the small streams that kind of overflowed their banks. Culverts got wiped out, blown out. There's a restaurant down in Cross Lanes. There's a couple big culverts that come out of their parking lot, and I saw on Saturday, the day after Christmas, it just blew it out. I mean, it just so the force of the water, and it's right late mid-morning, so it created a kind of a hassle for folks. So you had people trying to get to other places for Christmas, right. And so there were traffic issues, and
there were evacuations as well, right? Or people?
Well, there were water rescues.
Water rescues. Okay.
Yeah. There were a couple of dozen water rescues that took place, and where they went in and they got residents where their homes were surrounded by water.
And we're going to get an update right now as we speak. There's a briefing going on with Kanawha County and Putnam County Emergency Services officials. C.W. Sigmund, a Kanawha County Fire Coordinator, is going to join us after that briefing and give us the latest on that. Jeffrey, then also, I know you had a shooting there yesterday. What's the story on that? Yeah,
it was happened on the west side of Charleston. A man was shot. He's identified, Hoppy, as 29-year-old Brian Rogers of the Ripley area of Jackson County. So he was shot on the west side of Charleston. He was shot, and then he stumbled into the West Side Market and Deli there on 7th Avenue. He had been shot in the upper body, and they rushed him to the hospital. He died a short time later. Now, Chief of Detectives Lieutenant Steve Cooper has said that they knew of Rogers. They were familiar with him, but they haven't named any suspect or anything like that at this point. So they're still investigating. They were doing a lot of interviews last night. But we don't, other than what they've released so far. We know the name of the victim. We know he was shot. And that's about all we know at this point.
All right, Jeff Jenkins, more posted at wvmetronews.com. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Okay.
Appreciate it. All right. Meantime, there was a standoff. A man engaged in a standoff with police for several hours in Martinsburg yesterday. Hans Vogel, WEPM in Martinsburg, joins us. Hans, good morning. What happened here?
Good morning, Hoppy. Around 1:30 yesterday morning, Martinsburg police received a call regarding a domestic incident at a residence on Ray Street. They responded to the scene, found the wife of who we've now identified as the victim, 45-year-old Timothy Myers, hiding in the bushes outside the home. She told police her husband was inside with a shotgun and had actually shot at her. While on the scene there, police heard another gunshot fired. They were in communications. Captain Swartwood of the Martinsburg Police Department was talking to Mr. Myers throughout the 6-hour standoff. Communication was eventually cut off. They made the decision to enter the home. Special forces went in, found Mr. Myers' body on the bed of an upstairs bedroom, and he had died of an apparent overdose of painkillers and alcohol. Obviously, medical examination still to determine that, but a search warrant that was executed afterwards found that Mr. Myers had access to a .45 caliber pistol, a .357 revolver, a shotgun, and a .380 pistol, and an AR-15.
Mm-hmm. And so there were no shots exchanged, correct?
Correct. Right. His death was due to an overdose of painkiller and alcohol. So it was not a shootout with police or anything of that nature. And
police just decided to wait it out and rather than go in because of the risk. And
there was communication with him back and forth, trying to get sort of a peaceful surrender. He cut off communications, and shortly thereafter, the decision was made to enter the home. And when they had done that, Mr. Myers had already expired. Gotcha. Attempts to resuscitate him failed.
Hans Vogel, WEPM in Martinsburg. Thank you, Hans.
Thank you, Hopper.
All right, we appreciate it. Story posted at WVMetroNews.com. As I said, the inevitable bad news that occurs over the long holiday weekend. We'll get an update on the flooding problems that occurred in the Kanawha County area, Kanawha and Putnam, with C.W. Sigmund, Kanawha County Fire Coordinator. They're getting a briefing right now. I'll get an update from him in just a little bit. The weather, of course, unseasonably warm, and that is causing some strange things to happen. It's causing flowers to bloom, the daffodils to come up, and we'll talk with County Extension Agent later on in the program, John Porter, WVU Extension Agent from Kanawha County, and get his take on this. Now, the weather is going to change, so we'll see what impact that will have. I started an inquiry on this, but haven't gotten this far yet, and I wonder whether there will be any impact on the fruit crop in West Virginia, because if it would cause those apple and peach trees to bloom early, certainly that could be problematic. But we'll check on that with our extension agent in just a little bit. Also coming up, that bad weather was not confined to West Virginia. As you have seen over the long holiday period, very severe storms in the greater Midwest, starting down in Texas, in the greater Dallas area. 11 deaths reported there, swaths of severe damage from tornadoes, and also the damage occurring in other parts of the Midwest. Over 40 people are feared dead after storms triggered flooding and tornadoes across the South, Midwest, and Southwest over the Christmas weekend. Flash floods in Missouri and Illinois killed at least 13 people. Coming up later, we'll talk with Jim Forsyth following that story in Texas for us on that. Also today, I wrote about this story. We mentioned it last week, but I think it was day before. It must have been the day before Christmas Eve. Is that West Virginia, and I wrote about it today, West Virginia is on course to lose one of its congressional seats. That's because West Virginia's population has been stagnant and or declining rather steadily, slowly but steadily since 1950. According to the latest census figures, our population's down to 1.84 million people. It's a slight drop from the year before. We peaked in population in 1950 at just over 2 million people. But what's happened is, since Congress passed a law in 1911 limiting the number of members of Congress to 435, so we haven't added members of Congress as the population has grown. We simply shifted the representation to more populated areas. So West Virginia is on course to lose one of its 3 congressional seats after the 2020 census, meaning the 2022 election, if things proceed on course. And when I talked last week with Election Data Services Kimball Brace about that, he told me that West Virginia could avoid losing a seat if West Virginia added approximately another 60,000 residents over the next 5 years. Now, that is highly unlikely. I'm not saying it won't happen, but it's highly unlikely since we've been on this stagnant or steadily declining population for the last generation, maybe the last 2 generations. So it's highly unlikely that we would gain 60,000 people in population. So if things proceed as predicted, the 2020 census, there'd be a reapportionment of the seats, and West Virginia would be one of the states losing seats, which would put West Virginia down to 2 congressional seats. And West Virginia has never had fewer than 3. Never had fewer than 3. West Virginia started with 3 when it first became a state, and then from 1910 to 1950, West Virginia had 6 representatives in the Congress. 6. But the census every 10 years has shown population growth in other parts of the country, no population growth or declining population in West Virginia, so we've been losing seats. 5, 4, we've been held at 3 the last couple of census reports, but now it looks like we're headed down to 2. That's going to set off a big political fight in West Virginia because it's the West Virginia House and Senate that would draw those congressional boundaries. So how do you draw the new boundary? Right now, the state's divided into thirds, upper half, that big middle swath, which is the 2nd congressional district, and then the bottom half of the state below Charleston, below Route 60, which is largely District 3. Well, what do you do there? You could cut the state in half, going east to west, or you could draw the line so the eastern panhandle and northern panhandle is District 1, and then the southern and southwestern and south central and central part of West Virginia would be District 2. But that's going to be a huge political fight as to how to do it. And also, if you have, in the 2022 election, if you have 3 incumbent members of Congress and all 3 want to run for re-election in 2022, that would set up a huge showdown between potentially sitting congressmen. So we got this population decline in West Virginia and stagnation. That's problematic. And we're going to talk more about that probably later this week with John Deskins of WVU's Bureau of Business Economic Research, because you really want people moving into the state. You want population growth. You don't want stagnation or decline. You end up with an older population that is less healthy, that is more expensive, that's not spending as much money. So we have some serious demographic problems here in West Virginia. All right, we're going to take a break and come back. We have a lot of business to tend to today. Glad you're with us. Hope your Christmas went well and enjoyable. But back to business today. Talkline continues right after this.
'Tis the season to start saving. At MVB Bank, it's easy with our new 12-month CD. Start earning 1.15% annual percentage yield with a minimum deposit of just $1,000. To start your CD savings today, visit our jolly team at any MVB location or call us at 844-MVB Bank. It's sure to keep you off the naughty list next year. MVB Bank, your financial life made easy. Member FDIC. Let's bring them back. Let's keep them home. The visits are just too short, aren't they? There are measures West Virginia can take to help grow our economy, to provide opportunity in the Mountain State. Passing a right-to-work law is one of them. Let's do all we can to move the state forward. Are you tired of telling your family goodbye after the holidays? Well, let's bring them back. Let's keep them home. Urge your legislator to take action. Pass a workplace freedom bill this session. A message from the West Virginia Business and Industry Council.
You're listening to Talkline on MetroNews. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
There. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Gosh, cops.
That's That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
At MVB Bank, we have one simple objective: to give you the very best of everything you could possibly want and need in a bank. That's it. We believe most people just want a really great bank with top-notch products like checking with cash back, nationwide ATM fee refunds, great CD and car loan rates, and more. Together with our awesome team and the convenience of state-of-the-art technology they can count on. It's no extra fluff, just good, honest banking. We're MVB Bank, your most valuable bank. Member FDIC.
Talkline presented by MVB Bank, your most valuable bank, member FDIC. I don't think we've heard a lot about this, and details are still a scad sketchy about this. But the U.S., in fact, plans a mass deportation of illegal Central American migrants starting next month. Washington Post, I think, originally broke the story. Wall Street Journal has another report. To stanch the flow of illegal immigrants to the U.S., the Department of Homeland Security has been preparing a national operation to deport Central American families who evaded removal orders. Jeff Birnbaum, Fox News political analyst, Washington Times columnist, president of a PR firm in Washington, D.C. joins. Jeff, good morning. So what's this about?
Well, it is a report from the Washington Post from last week, not fully confirmed by the Obama administration, but the Post reported that there will be about 100,000 deportations starting next month of mostly Central Americans in the U.S. illegally and who have been ordered by a judge to be deported. I guess the Obama administration decided it could not defy judicial rulings. They have to do what the judge said, and they will stage raids around the country starting next month to find those 100,000 people.
As I understand it, Jeff, according to the reports, these are typically people who have crossed into the country illegally, many of them women and children, or they're not emancipated adults, and they turn themselves in to the border. They ask for asylum, so there's a record of them being there, and then they are released maybe to family members, and then they're supposed to report back. Maybe they have or maybe they haven't, or their cases are adjudicated. Is that correct?
That's the bulk of them, yes. You might remember there was a rush of Central American immigrants more than a year ago because there were false reports back in their countries that they could easily get asylum in the U.S. for political persecution.
Mm-hmm. Jeff Birnbaum is with us, Fox News political analyst. And Jeff, what's the political implications of this? Because is there going to be, and certainly the people do not have and there might be some dispute about this, but they do not appear to have a legal right to be in the country, but is there going to be video of crying and screaming women and children rounded up and sent back home?
Well, I don't know that, but the political implications are manifold here. The Republicans are even taking credit, believe it or not. Donald Trump went that far to say that they're talking about illegal immigration forced President Obama's hand to begin to deport this 100,000 people. They say that the Obama administration has been trying to avoid enforcing the law because they would rather find a way, a change in policy to keep many of the people who were here without the proper paperwork, get them on the path to citizenship. Democrats, on the other hand, are outraged that the Obama administration is considering these mass deportations. I would not be surprised if there is legislation introduced by a Democrat in Congress in January to slow these deportations. And the candidates for president on the Democratic side criticized President Obama for taking, for even considering this kind of crackdown. I think immigration and deportations in particular is an issue that clearly divides the political parties.
And this is, I think the polls would reflect, Jeff, and that's why this is such an important issue for the country, not just about immigration policy, but as you said, politically, because this is a hot button issue in this country.
It is. It is on the back of the immigration issue that we now have a longtime Republican frontrunner for the Republican nomination, that is Donald Trump. He's talked about immigration, and he has led the way for other Republicans to do the same. Democrats don't talk about it as much, but nonetheless, it is an important issue for them on virtually the opposite side, where Republicans want enforcement. Many Democrats would like to see laws that are more lenient.
Jeff,
and so we'll see.
Jeff, back to more about the politics of this, is that I find it kind of curious because it surprised me a little bit that the Obama administration would do this if they don't want to do it, or they fear it's going to be unpopular with their base. Why doesn't Obama just do what he wants to do? I mean, he's essentially a lame duck, or is it about Hillary Clinton and the next person?
I don't know the inside story as well as I would like to on this one. What is fair to say is that this 100,000 is not an extraordinary number.
Okay.
In 2015, there were the lowest number of deportations in 10 years, only 223,000. A more normal rate of deportation was the year before, over 400,000. So in some ways, this is 100,000 people who probably should have been deported earlier. It's just being put together in a series of crackdowns and raids starting next month.
Yeah, it's interesting, I guess, just that it's just more of a hot-button issue now than it was a few years ago. Jeff Birnbaum, Fox News political analyst, Washington Times columnist. Jeff, good to speak with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, good to talk to you. Story in the Wall Street Journal about that. And also the Washington Post, which broke the story. Ring in the new year at the third annual Downtown Countdown in Princeton's Emerging Arts District. This New Year's Eve celebration features 5 stages of live music, street performers, a ball drop countdown, fireworks at the stroke of midnight, plus much more. Find out more ideas for kicking off the new year in the Mountain State at go2wv.com, or call 800-225-5982. 800-225-5982. But this year, consider ringing in the new year with the Downtown Countdown in Princeton's Emerging Arts District. All right, when we come back, there was a briefing just minutes ago involving emergency officials in Kanawha County to find out the latest on the recovery efforts following the severe storms and the heavy rains and the flooding on Christmas Day. C.W. Sigmund will join us, and also we'll get the latest on the storms nationally. Talkline on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia. 10:30, let's get a news update. Check in with the Metro News Radio Network and find out what's happening statewide this hour, all across the great state of West Virginia.
West Virginia Metro News. I'm Shauna Johnson. The president and CEO of the West Virginia Hospital Association says hospitals are seeing no windfall of savings from the Affordable Care Act, as some claim. Instead, Joe Letnanchin says ACA, with its exchanges and Medicaid expansion, is putting many healthcare facilities into financial holes.
The numbers just don't add up. You can't make it up in volume. You're getting paid for these patients, yes, but everything we get in one pocket is being emptied out in the other pocket out of Medicare.
Letnanchin says hospitals are also still providing a lot of uncompensated care and are dealing with rising costs in expense areas like utilities and insurance. A managed care model, meanwhile, for Medicaid is paying off for the State Department of Health and Human Resources. DHHR Deputy Secretary Jeremiah Sample says it's an improved approach for patients.
Someone in the past under the traditional Medicaid model, they may have went to multiple doctors and had multiple prescriptions that may have conflicted with one another, causing that patient to have additional issues.
He says it's also led to an estimated $50 million in savings. Elsewhere, a busy holiday travel day Sunday, and many drivers passing through Kanawha County on Interstate 64 East spent part of the day stuck in traffic. A tractor-trailer hauling 34,000 pounds of cake mix blew a tire, crashed into a guardrail, and caught fire, backing up traffic for much of the day. You're listening to Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
Business owners know it's hard to find quality employees. If your business is growing and you need to hire trained, eager staff, MetroNews can help with a recruitment campaign. If you need professionals or skilled tradespeople, if you're having a job fair or are searching for a uniquely qualified person for a special position, MetroNews is ready to help you execute a successful campaign. Best of all, MetroNews can broadcast your search statewide or narrow it to a certain region. For more information on how MetroNews can help your employee recruitment be successful, call Joe Parsons at 304-346-7055, 304-346-7055, or email jparsons at wvmetronews.com. That's jparsons at wvmetronews.com. Metro News and your business working together to elevate our state's economy and make your company a success. Call 304-346-7055 or email jparsons at wvmetronews.com.
Ahead of the 2016 elections, a reminder that registering to vote online is an option in West Virginia. Secretary of State Natalie Tennant says it's proving to be a popular option, especially among families.
Folks are registering at the same time. We're seeing same last name, same addresses, and we see the same timestamp when they're coming through and applying to register to vote.
Tennant says about 40% of the online registrations are from first-timers. From the Metro News Anchor Desk, I'm Shauna Johnson.
Talkline presented by MVB Bank, your most valuable bank member, FDIC. Told you that we would get in touch with C.W. Sigmund, who is head of the Kanawha County. He's the Kanawha County Fire Coordinator, and he's the emergency response guy for Kanawha and Putnam counties. And they just came out of a briefing here to get the very latest on the recovery efforts following the Christmas Day flooding in the greater Charleston area. And CW joins us on Metro News Talkline. CW, thanks. What did we learn? What did you learn from the briefing that you can pass along?
Well, the biggest thing, the Weather Service is telling us that they're not expecting a lot of rain for the week. So a quarter inch here, a quarter inch there, so that's kind of relief. The other thing is we're supposed to get some high winds tonight, so that will probably add to our trees down issues.
And what?
We have folks,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Out right assessments on the damage we had Christmas Day.
Anecdotally, what did you learn about, or did you get any numbers on damaged houses, damaged buildings, damaged roadways, etc.?
I don't have that data right now. We've had about 30 calls or so coming in reporting damage to homes. We've had a few calls, people whose private roadways have been damaged. I know we also have some state roads that have some issues. And our folks are down there right now on the New Gulf Mountain Road where a 8-foot culvert has completely collapsed and stopped up. And trying to get the owner of that property, get that fixed today too before we have any rain at all.
Yeah. CW, is everybody, I know some people there was some high water rescues or evacuations. Was everybody able to get back in their home pretty quickly?
Well, I think once the water went down, they were able to get back in. And usually the smaller the stream, the faster it comes up, and also the faster it goes down. So those small streams that come up very quickly usually go down pretty quickly, and people can access their homes. And I know, for example, in the Kanawha 2-mile area in Sissonville, Lotus Drive and through there, by Saturday when I went through there, folks were back in their homes in a lot of places and were cleaning out their homes already.
Yeah. Is there a lot of cleanup that must be done?
It looks like a lot of cleanup. Just had to just talk to a fellow whose mother had 3 foot of water in her home. So I'm sure there's going to be some significant cleanup there.
Mm-hmm. Of course, Christmas Day, I mean, the timing couldn't be worse, I don't think, but props to emergency folks and volunteers. CW went out there Christmas Day and worked through Christmas Day and continued to help.
Yeah, I can't say enough for particularly our volunteer fire department. These guys are out all hours day and night, and they gave up their Christmas to go out and do rescues. They've taken special training to be able to do that, so we can't say enough for they're our go-to guys. You know, when we need help, they're our go-to guys. We say, and gals, come out and help us out, and they spent Christmas Day instead of being with their families. They were out helping others, and we just can't thank them enough.
Yeah, we certainly appreciate that. CW, was the flooding attributable to primarily, I mean, when you get a lot of water in a short period of time, a lot of rain in a short period of time, there's not much anybody can do about that, and that's what we got. But also, was it debris in streams, or was the ground already saturated, or was there blocked culverts, anything like that that contributed to the flooding?
I think we could say on that one, hit D, all the above.
Okay.
We had a lot of rain, and I have people report that has high water issues that never had it before. Even some friend of mine was telling me yesterday, and he lives on top of the hill. There's no water can run to him because he's at the highest point. And he had some issues. Water got into his home a little bit. But like on the Canal 2 Mile area, if you go upstream just a little ways or out to the sides a little ways, those other streams didn't have the same effect. But that creek floods all the time. So we need to look at that and see what we can do to correct that problem. We did have some stopped-up culverts. We did have some debris. We had outbuildings that were not securely fastened or put in the floodplain illegally that floated downstream and blocked up some bridges, the drainage under the bridge. And we had that saturated ground, so all the above kind of worked against us.
So, CW, which creek did you say floods all the time? Which one?
Well, I call 2 Mile.
2 Mile, okay, yeah, 2 Mile. So is that, and I'm going to poke into areas I'm not that familiar with, but do you have a debris issue there? Does it need to be dredged? Can you not dredge creeks these days? Or is there, what do you got there on 2 Mile?
Well, I can't put my handle on it. I just don't know. That's something we need to look at. But in all the years I've been in the water rescue business, particularly when we started going out helping others, on the previous jobs I've had, last 15 years or so, it seems like we've had a lot of calls out there. And if you look at those homes today, those mobile homes had water up right to the edge of them, sometimes inside of them. Those homes sit up 5, 6, 7 feet, maybe 8 feet in the air. So there's a lot of deep water in there. And at the old Bonham Elementary School that's now privately owned, we used to have to close that school down on a regular basis for high water. I've seen water multiple times, 3 and 4 foot up the wall there, and luckily the school board was quick enough to get the kids out of there and nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's a common problem there, more than anywhere else.
CW Sigmund, Kanawha County Fire Coordinator. CW, thanks again to all of you who worked on Christmas Day and the days after and sacrificed our holiday to help folks out, and we appreciate you coming on today with the update.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks a lot. The storms very bad in Texas, parts of the South, Southwest, and Midwest. We'll get an update on that when we return, when Talkline continues.
Look around your holiday table this year and think, how many faces are missing because they've had to leave home to find good jobs in more technology-driven, economically diverse states? The High Technology Foundation is working to keep young, educated West Virginians here at home by attracting high-tech companies to our state. The High Technology Foundation is helping build stronger West Virginia families by building a stronger West Virginia, because there's no place like home and family for the holidays. Learn more at wvhtf.org.
In this season of giving, consider donating your used vehicle to Good News Mountaineer Garage. You'll get the best tax deduction possible and the satisfaction of knowing your donation changed the life of someone in need. Good News Mountaineer Garage repairs donated vehicles and provides them to qualified West Virginia families, giving them access to employment, safe, affordable housing, health care, and other vital necessities, and putting them on the road to economic independence. Call 1-866-GIVE-CAR today for Good News Mountaineer Garage. 866-GIVE-CAR.
Changing lives by preventing harm and providing hope and healing to hurting children and families. Burlington United Methodist Family Services has led the way in West Virginia for over 100 years, preventing harm by helping place endangered children in safe, caring foster homes, providing hope by counseling birth parents in their choice to parent or make an adoption plan, and helping adoptive parents in their quest for a child. Go to bumfs.org to see how Burlington United Methodist Family Services is truly changing lives.
This is Talkline on Metro News. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
At MVB Bank, we have one simple objective: to give you the very best of everything you could possibly want and need in a bank. That's it. We believe most people just want a really great bank with top-notch products like checking with cash back, nationwide ATM fee refunds, great CD and car loan rates, and more. Together with our awesome team and the convenience of state-of-the-art technology they can count on. It's no extra fluff, just good, honest banking. We're MVB Bank, your most valuable bank. Member FDIC.
There. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Cops.
That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Talkline on MetroNews. Coming up tomorrow, we're at the 10th anniversary of Sago, and the lone survivor of Sago was Randall McCloy. We'll find out tomorrow how McCloy is doing 10 years after Sago. It always feels worse at Christmas time or on a holiday when you have tragedies like this, but you had these bad storms in Texas, and now they stretched out into the Midwest, the Southwest, parts of the South. Over 40 people now reported dead from storms. Also, that triggered some flash flooding that occurred. Jim Forsyth following the story in San Antonio. Jim, good morning.
Well, good morning, Hop. How's everything going?
Well, West Virginia, we had a little flash flooding here. You can relate to that, but it was much worse in your neck of the woods. Let's start with Texas. How bad was it there? It seemed like, sometimes the news kind of gets lost at Christmas time, and then you start to see the video, you start to get the reports. Around the Dallas area, you really got whacked hard.
Yes, this is absolutely devastating damage. In the city of Garland, which is a major suburb northeast of Dallas, they say that in that one community alone, 2,000 people are homeless. So we're looking at devastation on the level of Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. Wow. This is a very, very significant storm. We're talking 11 people dead in Metro Dallas. As many as 8 of them, at least 4 and as many as 8, get this, were killed when their vehicles were blown off a flyover intersection on Interstate 30 in Garland as the tornado came through Saturday night. Imagine being on a freeway interchange and all of a sudden a big wind comes and literally blows your SUV or your SUV or your pickup truck off of the bridge. That was what was happening in Dallas, northeast of Dallas, Saturday night. A very, very horrendous situation, a major disaster. They are saying that probably about 6,000 homes and buildings were destroyed or severely damaged, and we're looking at very, very widespread destruction. Entire neighborhoods in Garland and a town called Rowlett, which is near Garland, were destroyed. It's absolutely amazing devastation.
Jim Forsyth is with us in San Antonio following the story. Jim, was it a giant tornado or a series of tornadoes that touched down and caused the damage?
It was 9 separate tornadoes, is what the National Weather Service is saying now, including one of them was an EF4 with winds of about 180 miles an hour. We just talked about Hurricane Katrina. That was a Category 5 hurricane, the strongest hurricane there is on the planet, and it had winds of 160 miles an hour. So we're talking about a tornado with winds stronger than Hurricane Katrina, blazing a path right through the communities of Garland and Rowlett, and a total of 9 tornadoes at all. Those are the ones they've confirmed so far. They're still out there looking at additional damage in the area to try to determine if possibly even additional tornadoes might have hit the Dallas area. But definitely a major flurry of tornadoes Saturday night.
Jim Forsyth is with us, WOAI Radio in San Antonio, Texas, but they cover the entire state of Texas. And this is a gigantic story, not only Texas, but also nationally. Jim, I would imagine because of that it's Texas, any place in the Midwest and Southwest has a pretty sophisticated warning system. And were there warnings issued? Did people know? Or the holidays, did that affect it?
Oh, I think the holidays affected it a lot. We had unseasonably warm weather, as did much of the country, right before the tornadoes hit, and that's why the tornadoes were so bad, is that it was a cold front, what they call here a norther, coming down and blowing out a lot of that unseasonably hot, muggy, almost summer-like weather that we were having. But I think that a lot of people who were here were not normally here. They were here to visit friends or relatives for Christmas. You're very busy on the Christmas holiday and probably weren't paying a lot of attention. And quite frankly, you hear tornado warnings a lot in this part of the country, and nobody expects an EF4 with winds of 180 miles an hour, and nobody expects 9 tornadoes to come blowing through their community on one otherwise quiet day after Christmas Saturday night.
Yeah, and
so it was a combination, I think, of the Christmas holiday and also the fact that this was such an immense flurry of tornadoes that came through here Saturday night.
And I would imagine, Jim, I mean, you work all the time. You were probably on it, or your news staff was on it, but it seems like that word kind of filtered out slowly. Maybe it was because of the holiday, or that people just didn't know the extent of the damage yet until the sunrise came the next day, or a more working day like today.
Yes, keep in mind it did happen after dark, which I'm sure added to a lot of the confusion that there was. But it was clear fairly early on, at least among the emergency responders that I spoke with, that they were dealing with a major catastrophe, a very serious situation across 4 counties. And we're talking about in excess of 4 million people affected by the tornado warnings that were sounded up in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex Saturday night. So they are still now uncovering additional damage from this. They got their fingers crossed. They don't think there's any more fatalities because they don't know of any other people who are unaccounted for. But the problem is, like we mentioned, this was the night after Christmas, so there were a lot of people who they might not have known were in some of those homes because they were visiting. They were maybe staying in hotels or motels. But the death toll of 11 has stayed fairly steady since about this time yesterday. So we're hoping anyway that the death toll doesn't go up very much more. But obviously a massive cleanup is underway. Those 4 counties in North Texas have been declared disaster areas. I just talked with a representative of the insurance industry who was talking about how insurance adjusters are coming in from literally all over the country to try to help with the process of dealing with this catastrophe. And on top of this, we have a blizzard underway now in much of the state, including much of North Texas, where they got snow and freezing rain on top of all this last night. So talk about crazy weather. You think of tornadoes as being warm weather disasters, and then on top of cleanup for a tornado, we have in some areas a whiteout blizzard. So that just goes to show the weird weather we're having this December.
You know, Jim, and then also other part that it's not the worst appears to be in Texas, but you look at other parts of the heartland of the nation and severe damage there too from flooding and from storms.
Yeah, at one point this morning, the National Weather Service said that there were blizzard conditions from El Paso to the northern peninsula of Michigan. So that is essentially the entire cross-section of the country. They had deadly and devastating flooding in the St. Louis area. They've had Oklahoma is for all intents and purposes, closed. It's socked in by a massive ice storm that broke out last night. The entire state has been declared a state of emergency. You've got flooding in Arkansas. You've got serious situations in Illinois and across the upper Midwest. Obviously, not only do we have the tornadoes on Saturday night in Texas, but now we have very, very serious whiteout blizzards in West Texas. We have flooding in the Houston area. And all this is being blamed right now on the El Nino weather pattern, which is bringing what they refer to as upside-down weather to much of the country. At a couple points early last week, it was warmer in Boston than it was in Phoenix, which kind of gives you an indication of how weird this December weather has been. And this is expected to continue as we go through the rest of the winter. So we're going to keep our heads up, because this isn't the last of this, that's for sure.
Well, Jim, of course, not of course, but people may remember years ago you worked in West Virginia at WVA, and you know what December should be like. But yesterday in West Virginia, in parts of West Virginia, was 70 degrees.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That is very, very amazing. We were seeing the 80s in parts of Texas just Wednesday and Thursday of last week, which is one of the things that contributed to this horrible, almost dislocated weather pattern, is that you had the cold weather from the front coming in and bashing into not normally this time of year it'd be in maybe the low 60s, but when it's in the upper 70s to 80s, there's a lot more moisture, there's a lot more conflection, there's, you end up with a lot more of the of what causes strong winds, and we've seen a lot of that. So it's going to be a nasty winter weather-wise, and a lot of weird weather, the kind of weather you don't normally see in December and January.
Jim Forsyth, WOAI Radio in San Antonio, on the devastation from the storms in Texas and elsewhere in the country. Jim, thank you very much. Hang in there. We appreciate it.
Take care, Hoppy. You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Wow. So Garland, Texas, really, really hit hard. That's northeast of Texas, a kind of a bedroom. Well, it's a city in its own right, but a major metropolitan area just outside of Dallas. Meantime, National Weather Service issued flash flood warnings for southern and eastern parts of Missouri, including St. Louis, a small section of northern Arkansas, most of Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, central Missouri, and central Illinois under a flood warning. And as Jim reported, also getting winter weather now, ice storms and blizzard whiteout conditions in parts of North Texas. Authorities said more than 180 Missouri roads and several bridges in the state are closed following heavy rainfall during the weekend, and more is expected today. Forecasters said Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, parts of Minnesota, Illinois, Missouri, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas would see winter weather conditions ranging from heavy snow to ice accompanied by gusty winds. Parts of the southeast would see rain, while more severe weather was possible in Mississippi. The gloomy forecast came, as we said, as residents in the greater Dallas area began to assess the damage of 9 tornadoes, killed at least 11 people. And as Jim reported, some 2,000 homes in Garland, Texas, have been damaged or destroyed. Vehicles mangled, power lines down, trees toppled, heavy rain, wind, and falling temperatures hampering cleanup efforts throughout the weekend and this morning. All right, we'll take a break and be back. We'll return in just a moment. Stay with us.
Hi, it's Tony Caridi, and I've got a great West Virginia story I'd like you to watch. Doddridge County's Clara Santucci is in the final stages of training in her bid to earn a spot on the United States Olympic team in the marathon. Her story embodies West Virginia's culture of hard work, dedication, and grit. In association with the Prim law firm, Pikewood Creative has produced a documentary on Clara's Olympic dream. Watch the video by going to primlaw.com. That's PRIM law.com.
'Tis the season to start saving. At MVB Bank, it's easy with our new 12-month CD. Start earning 1.15% annual percentage yield with a minimum deposit of just $1,000. To start your CD savings today, visit our jolly team at any MVB location or call us at 844-MVB-BANK. It's sure to keep you off the naughty list next year. MVB Bank, your financial life made easy. Member FDIC.
West Virginia has balanced its budget on the back of the coal industry ever since we became a state 150 years ago. Historically, the coal industry and coal-fired electric utilities have accounted for over 60% of all business taxes, while high-energy wages contribute a disproportionate share of income taxes, and coal severance dollars sustain important programs in all counties. All told, the industry infuses over $26 billion to our state's economy. Coal alone has paid down nearly $1 billion of the state's workers' compensation debt. Consequently, all state businesses have experienced major reductions in workers' comp benefits. The coal industry's always supported our people and our economy, but it's under attack from the Obama administration and the EPA. It's fighting to survive. Coal taxes in West Virginia are higher than our surrounding states. We're losing coal markets to our neighbors. Let's get our mines and coal miners working again. Support a reduced tax rate for mining, paid for by West Virginia Coal Association.
You're listening to Talkline on MetroNews. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
At MVB Bank, we have one simple objective: to give you the very best of everything you could possibly want and need in a bank. That's it. We believe most people just want a really great bank with top-notch products like checking with cash back, nationwide ATM fee refunds, great CD and car loan rates, and more. Together with our awesome team and the convenience of state-of-the-art technology they can count on. It's no extra fluff, just good, honest banking. We're MVB Bank, your most valuable bank. Member FDIC.
Almost there. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Cops.
That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Talkline presented by MVB Bank, your most valuable bank, member FDIC. Email Hoppy. I submit to you, says the emailer, that the real population decline in West Virginia is greater than the numbers provided. My 2 oldest daughters, each of whom graduated from WVU in the last 24 months, are working and living in the Charlotte area now. They simply have not taken the time to establish formal North Carolina residency, maintaining their West Virginia driver's licenses, etc. I know of a number of their friends who've done the same. The decline is worse than advertised, says Steve. I think, and the reason I did that comparison, I think what really stands out, and the reason I didn't look at Ohio and Pennsylvania, I didn't look at our 5 contiguous states. I looked at North Carolina because we know about so many people like Steve whose family members have gone to North Carolina, the Hillbilly Highway. By the way, the Hillbilly Highway originally went to the industrial Northeast or Midwest, to Chicago and Detroit and New York and places like that. But now it's gone just the other way. So it's the Hillbilly Highway to North Carolina and South Carolina. But what really makes a mark with me is that West Virginia's population in 1950 was 2 million. North Carolina's was 4 million in 1950. Now, in 2015, West Virginia's population is under 2 million. North Carolina's population is over 10 million. North Carolina's population's increased 2.5 times, while we have lost population. And North Carolina's population continues to grow. I saw the number. I didn't put it in the commentary today, but something like their population's increasing by about 200 people a day, 185 people a day, or something like that. So at one time, West Virginia and North Carolina were comparable. And Charlotte and Charleston were comparable. Not anymore. We're going to take a break and be back. We'll find out how the weather has impacted West Virginia's important ski season and more. This is Talkline on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia. Welcome back. Hour number 2 of Talkline on the Metro News Radio Network in and around the great state of West Virginia. Hoppy Kercheval with you. I think in many parts of West Virginia, really many parts of the Northeast, as family and friends got together for the holidays. First, they exchanged good wishes, goodwill, happy to see you, how are things going? And then inevitably somebody would say, how about this weather? And you could not help remarking on it. I know yesterday, as I started back, I had a brief visit to the Eastern Panhandle yesterday, to Kercheval Estates, and it was almost 70 degrees and sunshine yesterday. I was driving back with my wife, and I said, you have to enjoy the weather, but you don't have to, but as somebody who covers the news, I have empathy for our ski industry in West Virginia, which is a vital tourist attraction, a vital part of our winter economy in West Virginia, and it's not doing them any favors. Joe Stevens with the West Virginia Ski Area Association joins us on MetroNews Talkline. Joe, good morning. Good to talk to you. How bad is it at the ski resorts right now?
Right now, Hoppy, we can't skirt the issue. We're not providing very much ski, snowboarding, and snow tubing right now in West Virginia. In fact, Timberline Resort is open today with 4 trails from the mid-station down. They are the only resort open providing winter fun, as it may be, south in the southeast. Nothing is open in Maryland, and only Timberline in West Virginia. Nothing in Virginia, in North Carolina, or in Tennessee that encompasses the southeast skiing area.
Really? So in West Virginia too, Snowshoe's not open?
Snowshoe curtailed their on-slope operations Sunday afternoon at 4:30. They suspended their operations. Winter Place and Canaan a day or two before that. So everybody is on a wait-and-see situation right now, as temperatures are in the forecast right now to start dropping Thursday night into Friday morning.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about that in just a minute. So that's pretty significant news. So only Winter Place is the only place in the southeast that's open today?
Timberline.
I'm sorry, Timberline. Timberline is in West Virginia. So otherwise, is the only resort in southeast part of the country that's open?
Not in the east. When you start talking east, you're talking Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire.
No, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about
Mid-Atlantic. Fair to our cousins in southern PA, Seven Springs is open outside of Pittsburgh today with 4 trails also.
Okay, that's pretty. I didn't know it was that bad. I knew it was bad. I didn't know it was that bad.
It is, you don't want to always, anytime use the term unprecedented, but right now we're in a situation, this is not the first warm or mild Christmas that we've had. In my years at Snowshoe, the latest that I have ever seen us opening for the season, not starting the season and then having to reboot the season as it may be, but was December 24th, and then we moved forward from there. But we do have cold temperatures in the forecast.
Yeah. And again, we'll get to that, but I just and this is a huge week. I mean, you look at the ski season in sort of segments, and there's the, maybe you get an early open, but this 2-week period around the holidays, particularly this week. I mean, isn't this the week? Isn't this supposed to be the week?
The 3-week period of before Christmas, and then New Year's is a very important time, but Hoppy, we're not talking about ghost towns right now at all the resorts. Give credit to the operations staffs at the resorts. They did make proverbial lemonade out of lemons. They're providing, this time of year, mountain biking. Canaan opened up their golf course. Snowshoe opened up their golf course. People still made the trek from Florida, from South Carolina, from Georgia, and came on up and created memories. We're not talking about the resorts being closed. They are still open. They're operationally speaking, they're offering other activities going on. But right now, other than Timberline, the on-slope activities have been suspended. But give the resorts credit, the management teams there, they really worked hard to create an atmosphere of creating memories and holiday. And they still got to see white snow. There's still snow out there, just not enough to ski or snowboard on.
Joe Stevens is with this West Virginia Ski Area Association, and yeah, I do give them credit for trying to salvage something out of it. And people are going to come. People have reservations. In many cases, they're going to come anyway, so they need stuff to do, and they'll hope for snow and that kind of thing. But financially, this is a huge hit, is it not?
Financially speaking, this is a challenge. Numbers are not in yet. We won't be able to know the numbers of what this actually truly means to the industry until the end of the season, because I got on the phone with a lot of the lodging folks, not only on the mountain but off the mountain, and what they have done is they have flipped a lot of the reservations. People are now taking their Christmas vacations and moving it into their spring vacations, especially the folks that are coming in from the south, and a lot of them that come in from the D.C. This is the time of year that we see a lot of our foreign skiers coming in that work at the embassies, so to speak, in D.C. and corporations and foreign corporations that are located in D.C. They're flipping over, a lot of them, in fact, the majority of them, are flipping over to later on into the season. So to put a financial figure on it, that will be done at the end of the season, when we really can see how far we can go out into the season and how far we can keep on going.
Well, the hope would be that you have pent-up demand that will manifest itself later in the season. Okay, let's talk about then. There are expected colder temperatures this week. When are resorts going to resume making snow?
Hoppy, right now it looks like our chief meteorologist for the association, Herb Stevens, who is based out of New Hampshire, he keeps his finger on the pulse, and he's been with us for a lot of years. And he is forecasting the colder temperatures, the snow-making colder temperatures, to returning to the mountains, especially the higher elevations, sometime late Thursday into Friday, with snow-making going through a good continuous, probably the higher elevations. I'm talking Snowshoe and Timberline and Canaan, probably nonstop through the weekend. Winter Place, there might be a lull period sometime Saturday, but there will be snowmaking commencing in the state at the resorts beginning probably late Thursday night into Friday morning.
As you talked with the resort operators or the people you know at those resorts, did they give you any indication as to when they expect to resume ski operations?
Right now, the plan is Timberline feels that they can hang in there. So they're going to be remaining open for skiing and snowboarding through the period. The word from Canaan is they're looking at the morning of January 6th to resume skiing and snowboarding. Right now,
Canaan, January 6th.
Snowshoe just got off the phone with those folks right before we hooked up, and it could happen as early as Saturday or Sunday morning. It just depends on where the temperature drops and how much snow they can make in a very quick period of time. Winter Place, probably conservatively saying Monday. It could also happen this weekend at Winter Place too. So it just depends on how far the temperature drops and how much snowmaking we can make in a very short period of time. Understanding that they are going to be opening terrain as quick as possible. And what I mean by saying that is we're not going to worry about 20 to 30-inch bases to open up terrain. You're going to be looking at 12 to 14-inch bases so they can get as much terrain open as quick as possible. And if any skier or snowboarder out there is thinking about heading to the mountains this weekend, I recommend taking goggles because there will be snowmaking going on during the day and on open terrain.
Did you say Canaan not till the 6th?
They want to make as much snow as possible, but Canaan will be right now. The plan is talking to the folks there is January 6th.
Wow!
Yes.
And Snowshoe maybe this weekend.
Snowshoe maybe this weekend, and also Winter Place maybe this weekend. This side note, but a very important factor. Spoke to Amy Goodwin, the Commissioner of Tourism, and she informed me today that they are restructuring their winter marketing campaign, and as soon as we can start snowmaking and really start opening up terrain again, they have restructured their winter marketing campaign to really put a big push to the industry. So Division of Tourism is stepping up to get the word out as soon as we can get going again.
Joe Stevens is with us, West Virginia Ski Area Association, and I get accused of dwelling on the bad news, and I do sometimes, but I think as I listen to this, and I've covered this for a lot of years in West Virginia, and I've covered winters when it was warm, and and all these things. And this strikes me, Joe, and you've been around a long time. And before you were in the Ski Area Association, before you were in the media business, you were in the news business. This strikes me as a pretty significant story and a pretty significant body blow to the ski industry this winter in West Virginia.
It is a body blow, but we're not down for the count. We're making snows here this week. But, again, I reiterate, Hoppy, the resorts are not closed. They are providing winter activities, or they're providing activities on the mountain for people that are visiting. But it is. I mean, it's got a lot of people scratching their heads. And, I hate to call it a war room, but when the snowmaking starts, if you can picture just the maps up on the wall, and, we're moving the snow guns over here, we're going to move the snow guns over there, and prepping and that, it gets down to that right now. But, yes, we took one in the stomach on this one, and we're ready to rebound and come out for another round or two and take it to the end of the season.
All right, I hope you can do that. Joe Stevens, West Virginia Ski Area Association. Thanks for the update, Joe.
Thanks, Hoppy.
All right, man. So that's significant. That's not good news for the ski industry. And we have this double-edged sword because people say, I'm glad it's not snowing and, it's not creating travel problems and we got this warm weather. But there is this definitive impact on this important winter industry in West Virginia. Now you have snowshoers suspended, that all except one resorts have suspended ski operations, and Canaan not resuming ski operations until after the first of the year, maybe this weekend, for snowshoe and other resorts. Email from David. Hoppy, my professor at Marshall, Troy Stewart, would share the old phrase, each generation thinks they invented music and sex. I guess we can now add weather. The fact that these are record-breaking temperatures, precipitation, and other phenomena means that similar conditions existed previously. At 50 years plus old, I can remember several balmy Christmases and New Year's holidays in this area. Likewise, I can remember Easters with nearly a foot of snowfall. At least you haven't said yet that it's caused by humans. I'm not saying it's caused by anything. What I'm saying is that these are significant weather conditions that are newsworthy. That's what I'm not attributing to anything. I am covering it as a news story, which it is. I know that Rush always dismisses weather stories as news, but I'm telling you that clearly it is a news story. And when you have the ski season in West Virginia essentially shut down for the moment, not the resorts, but the ski operations, that's a story. We'll be back.
It's here, the year-end blockbuster sales event at your Central West Virginia Jeep Giant. Northside Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram trucks in Somersville. Inventory is huge, and so are the savings. Come on in now for this deal, a 2016 Jeep Cherokee Latitude 4x4 cold weather group. Yep, you're going to need it. Satellite radio, retail price $29,230, blockbuster price $24,999. You save over $4,200. It's only the beginning. See us in person or online at northsidewv.com.
Here's a wintertime safe driving message from the West Virginia Department of Transportation. Where there's ice and snow, take it slow. Driving on snow-covered roadways requires more attention and less speed. Also watch for black ice on bridges, ramps, and in shady spots, and especially be cautious around snowplows. The best thing you can do to drive safely in the wintertime is slow down. Where there's ice and snow, take it slow. This winter safety driving message from the West Virginia Department of Transportation Division of Highways and the Safety Management Task Force, saving one life at a time.
This is Talkline on MetroNews. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
There. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Gosh, cops.
That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
At MVB Bank, we have one simple objective: to give you the very best of everything you could possibly want and need in a bank. That's it. We believe most people just want a really great bank with top-notch products like checking with cash back, nationwide ATM fee refunds, great CD and car loan rates, and more. Together with our awesome team and the convenience of state-of-the-art technology they can count on. It's no extra fluff, just good, honest banking. We're MVB Bank, your most valuable bank. Member FDIC.
Talkline on MetroNews. Talkline presented by MVB Bank, your most valuable bank, member FDIC. Coming up in just a couple of minutes. Well, coming up in 10 minutes, Doc Holliday, Marshall head coach, celebrating a bowl victory. Right now, though, who's a sexist? Sounds like a new game show. Jared Halpern, Fox News Radio, will play along on this. Who is a sexist? Who has a penchant for sexism, Jared?
Well, according to Donald Trump, it's Bill Clinton, the former president, who we believe in the new year will be doing some new campaigning. At least some more visible campaigning for his wife as she contends for the Democratic nomination. But Donald Trump's certainly looking a little bit ahead, isn't he, to the general election, and has spent the better part of this week or last week going back and forth with Hillary Clinton. It started, I guess, earlier in the week.
Yeah, how did this start? Go back to the beginning.
I mean, you know, for those who were enjoying friends and family over Christmas and not Donald Trump's tweets, he was at a campaign rally and used a Yiddish term.
Right.
Usually a noun. He used it as a verb to talk about Hillary Clinton's 2008 defeat. That drew criticism from a lot of folks, including Hillary Clinton, who accused Donald Trump of sort of just creating the latest line in sexism, pointing to some other comments that he has said. This is not a new charge for Donald Trump. He sort of faced the same accusation, you'll recall, after that first debate with Megyn Kelly here at Fox News. On a question that she asked about past comments that he made. At any rate, he responded on Twitter and on some of the Sunday shows, as he does, by saying that Hillary Clinton better be careful who she uses in her war on women, since she's married to Bill Clinton, and then later on defended that as saying Bill Clinton's fair game in all of this.
So this does... None of this ever hurts Trump. I mean,
it's really textbook Trump, if you want to call it that. And I imagine textbooks will be written about this race, the Donald Trump campaign. But you know what we see with Donald Trump is if you go after him, he responds. I guess he believes that that's what happened here, so he's responding to Hillary Clinton's accusation that he made a sexist comment. But he also targets people who have been inching closer and closer in the polls, and you saw that with Dr. Ben Carson. You've seen that with Ted Cruz. Recent polling in head-to-head matchups have shown the advantage going to Hillary Clinton over Donald Trump, and so it would make sense then that he tries to show that he can go round for round, punch for punch with her, and he has certainly been doing that on the campaign trail as well. Now, all of the Republicans have been trying to do that, by the way. I mean, that's part of what Republicans' message is to get elected, is they make this pitch that I'm best suited, I'm best positioned to beat the Democratic frontrunner. So that's not unique for Donald Trump. Certainly the words and the way that he goes about it is unique to Donald Trump.
I think that this is dangerous territory for Hillary Clinton, frankly, because when she levels the complaint against Trump, then, or if she wants to go there, then as Trump said, he can come back and go, you have defended a serial womanizer, which by its nature is sexist. So, I mean, he's one guy that will say it. So I think that's shaky ground for her on this, in my opinion.
I mean, I think we'll see. Listen, Bill Clinton is still very well liked in many, many circles, and I think that they know when to use him, where to use him in this campaign, and they won't hesitate to do that. I think she has affectionately called him her secret weapon, and Bill Clinton is still a force to be reckoned with on the campaign trail. He is very good at it, and I think that Part of this, as you say, is Donald Trump probably trying to wind that up a little bit and be ready should he should Bill Clinton start to take some knocks at Donald Trump. I thought it fascinating, too, that as that was going on, who else did Donald Trump go after? He went after Trey Gowdy after it was announced that Trey Gowdy would be campaigning alongside Marco Rubio. That certainly is a big get for the Rubio campaign, particularly in places like Iowa. And Donald Trump on some of the shows over the weekend then went on the attack against Gowdy and the Benghazi committee, calling it a total failure.
I would think that Bill Clinton can help Hillary in states that you'd think like southern or southeastern swing states where they would welcome
the
place
South
like
Carolina primary.
Yeah.
The Georgia, through the South, a lot of places. I mean, and the knock on Hillary Clinton going back to 2008 has always been that she has not come across, personally, has not, sort of had those touching moments with voters. Well, Bill Clinton never had that problem, right?
Never.
I mean, he was everybody's favorite person in the room. And so in that sense, he can help in a lot of areas, I think. And I think that's why you're going to see in the new year the Clinton campaign probably looked at him a bit more visibly than he's been. Not that he's been out of the picture, but that I think you're probably going to see him doing a little bit more in 2016.
Hey, Jared, and let me ask you this. This is not on our agenda today, but I'm sure you can handle the curveballs. I think one of the continuing stories, too, is how Ted Cruz is doing. I mean, here's a guy, and there were a couple of stories over the weekend on Ted Cruz saying, here's a guy who's literally despised by his fellow Republicans in the Senate, but is doing very well. He's gaining momentum out in flyover country and drawing a lot of support there. And a lot of that is also kind of Trump-esque in that there's such dissatisfaction with the Republican establishment. Here's a guy who appeals to those folks as well.
No doubt the Republican race up to this point has been defined by the outsider, whether that's Donald Trump, whether that's Dr. Ben Carson, who I know has slid recently, right. I think probably because of some of the debate performances. But at any rate, his popularity early on was propelled by this outsider label. And Ted Cruz, who's a sitting United States senator, is viewed as an outsider in large measure because of the fights that he has picked, not with Democrats in the Senate, but with Republican leadership in the Senate, Mitch McConnell and others. As you point out, he has a reputation for not having too many friends here in Washington. And that has been part of what has made him so, I think, charismatic to so many, particularly, as you point out, in places like Iowa. The other thing that I think is true of Ted Cruz is he has had a lot of loyalty from supporters. He has sort of stayed his course, has just picked up supporters as he's gone along. I think that's going to be the test between Ted Cruz and Donald Trump, particularly in Iowa, is who is able to get out those caucus goers. It's not just going to a polling place and pulling a lever in Iowa. Caucus is a whole different ballgame. You're asking people to travel through the winter weather and stand in a gym for a few hours and rally behind you. That's going to be the test for Donald Trump, is as well as he does in the polls, as many people as he draws to his rallies, does that translate to the type of support that Ted Cruz and others may get?
Jared Halpern, Fox News Radio. Jared, always a pleasure. Thank you for coming on today, sir.
Sure thing.
All right, man. Appreciate it. All right, we're going to take a break and come back. When we come back, Marshall coach Doc Holliday celebrating quietly, as Doc does, his bowl victory. Talkline on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia. 11:30. Let's get a news update. Check in with the Metro News Radio Network and find out what's happening statewide this hour, all across the great state of West Virginia.
West Virginia Metro News, I'm Shauna Johnson. The search continues today for the shooter, wanted for killing a man Sunday afternoon in West Virginia's capital city. Charleston police say the victim, 29-year-old Brian Rogers of Ripley, walked into a deli on the city's west side after being shot in the upper body and later died at Charleston Area Medical Center. An autopsy is the next step in Martinsburg, where a city man was found dead in his home early Sunday, following an hours-long standoff with Martinsburg police and several other law enforcement agencies. Elsewhere, more West Virginians will likely go online in 2016 to register to vote.
With the new year quickly approaching and more candidates making campaign announcements, Secretary of State Natalie Tennant is predicting strong voter registration numbers through their online platform announced earlier this fall.
They're going to see the ease and the efficiency of online voter registration, and it'll be even more successful than it is now.
Last month, over 1,000 submissions were received on Tennant's website with more than 400 new registered voters. Other submissions were from already registered voters who made changes to their address, party, or name. Tennant says she predicts those numbers to remain consistent for the month of December. The deadline to register to vote in the primary election is April 19th, 2016. I'm Carrie Hudasek, WVMetroNews.com.
West Virginia University's Mountaineers head to Phoenix tomorrow ahead of Saturday's Cactus Bowl game against Arizona State. See game previews at WVMetroNews.com. You're listening to Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
West Virginians love the outdoors, whether it's hunting the big buck, fishing for that elusive trout, or just enjoying our wild, wonderful state. Keep up with what's happening in news of the outdoors with Chris Lawrence and Metro News. On the Outdoors page at WVMetroNews.com, you'll find podcasts of Ram Truck's West Virginia Outdoors, the Ram Trophy Room, the Trout Stocking Report, and Chris's West Virginia Outdoor Journal. For coverage of the great outdoors, depend on Chris Lawrence and Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
Hi, it's Tony Caridi, and I've got a great West Virginia story I'd like you to watch. Doddridge County's Clara Santucci is in the final stages of training in her bid to earn a spot on the United States Olympic team in the marathon. Her story embodies West Virginia's culture of hard work, dedication, and grit. In association with the Prim law firm, Pikewood Creative has produced a documentary on Clara's Olympic dream. Watch the video by going to primlaw.com. That's PRIM law.com.
The Harrison County Commission will be making changes in the new year to the county's financial record-keeping procedures. Commission President Ron Watson says it's important.
Everybody has a right to know what we're doing, so if a flaw has been recognized by the auditor, then we're going to take care of it and then move forward, and hopefully during our time on the bench we'll not repeat that.
The changes come after a state audit of Harrison County's books. From the Metro News Anchor Desk, I'm Shona Johnson.
Talkline on Metro News. Talkline presented by MVB Bank, your most valuable bank member, FDIC. Here's what the Marshall football team's done over the last couple of years. 3 straight 10-win seasons, 33 wins in the last 3 years, 5 consecutive bowl wins, highest bowl winning percentage in the country at 82%. And Saturday, when Marshall defeated UConn 16-10 in the St. Petersburg Bowl, it was Doc Holliday's 50th victory at Marshall. Doc Holliday joins us on Metro News Talkline. Doc, good morning. Merry Christmas. Congratulations.
Morning, Hoppy. Merry Christmas to you. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. Congratulations to you and the Herd. Doc, this was like a throwback game, 16-10. Time of possession was significant. The defensive Marshall stepping up and really putting the quash on UConn. That's like a throwback. Where's the 45-40 game here?
Well, you had two tremendous defenses going at each other. Connecticut was one of the top 17 defenses in the country in scoring defense. And, a lot of games they played this year were the same type of games. Missouri beat them 7-9-7 or somewhere around in there, and they had a lot of low-scoring games. So we thought going in, it was going to be a defensive battle. We just want to make sure we took care of the football, played great defense, and won the kicking game. We thought if we could play great defense and win the kicking game, we'd win the game. That's what happened.
Yeah, this is what happened. You got, I think, 3 field goals. You got a big special teams play that got you in a position to score the only touchdown that you were able to score that day, but that was enough. And then Devin Johnson played. You kind of kept that under wraps. He gave you some snaps. And what was the story there?
Well, we got to about a week and a half prior to the game, the doctors had cleared him, and we left it up to the doctors to see if he wanted to play or not, and he sure wanted to put that Kelly Green on one final time. He's just a tremendous kid. He's a tremendous player, and we knew going in we were going to get 10 carries out of him. 10 touches is what we were going to hold him to, and go with Hollick Foster and Keon Davis with the rest of them. So just great to get him back out there. His leadership was critical for us, and he played a big part in that game.
Yeah, Keon Davis, that's a guy that was not showing up very high on the depth chart, and then you went with him late in the game. He had a 41-yard run on that key drive. What was the deal with Keon Davis?
Well, he's a freshman. He's a freshman that's still learning, and he's going to be a tremendous player. And we felt like we were going into that game. We wanted to go with the two young guys, with Halleck Foster and Keon Davis, along with Devin Johnson. That's a kind of rotation we kept. Once Devin got his 10 carries in, then we were going to go with Keon and Halleck the rest of the day. So we followed that plan. Fortunately, we were able to do a great job of controlling that clock in the second half and keeping Connecticut off the field.
Yeah, Marshall, Coach Doc Holliday's with us. 16-10 bowl victory. As I said, leading into this, Doc, you guys have run up some pretty impressive numbers. 3 straight 10-win seasons, 33 wins in the last 3 years, 5 consecutive bowl wins. Are you at the point where the program is – can you maintain that? I mean, where are you in program development and keeping things going?
Well, I think we can, Hoppy. I think, number one, I got a tremendous coaching staff, got really good players. We got kids that love football. It's important to them. To be able to win 10 games with a true freshman quarterback, I was concerned about that. You go through a lot of growing pains with a true freshman at the quarterback position, and as long as you followed football anywhere, if you got a quarterback, you got a chance. When you play a freshman, you're only going to get beat. But he's beyond his age. He's a very confident guy. That's really a talented guy, and he's going to be special. So I think as long as we got that quarterback position in place like we do for the next 3 years, I feel pretty good about being the head coach there.
Could you name an MVP on this year's team?
We did. The players did. We let the players choose the MVP, and that was DeAndre Reeves. That was a kid that we talk all the time about great teams. The seniors play their best football their senior year, and that's happened the last 3 or 4 years. And Reeves is a guy that kind of came out of nowhere this year. Was a tremendous returner a year ago, but became a great receiver. And he's just a dynamic kick returner that's going to play on Sundays, punt returner, kick returner, and did a tremendous job at the slot position. But the players voted him the MVP. He sure deserved. He's MVP of the bowl game too. Yeah, and
he had that 26-yard punt return. That in a defensive game, those are so big, and he got the ball to the UConn 20-yard line, and then Chase Litton threw that touchdown pass. So that was pretty key in that ball game. So have you retreated? I'm actually surprised. I put in the request this morning. I'm actually surprised I got you. Have you retreated to your secret hideaway that nobody knows where it is but you and your family? And that's where you. Is that
what? Believe it or not, I have. We got up here. We went to the mountains on Sunday, and my man Goebel got a hold of me going to Elkins to pick up a few things today. So he said you wanted to for me to give you a call, and of course, anytime you request, I'd be happy to talk to you, Hoppy. But we're excited and looking forward to taking a couple of days off.
Well, Doc, you deserve it. Congratulations. Another great season. Congratulations on the bowl win. West Virginia is proud of you. And enjoy a couple of days off. I know you won't be off very long. I know you'll be back at it pretty soon, but enjoy at least a couple down days.
Well, we're going to. You have a happy new year, and that's our rest of the low.
All right. Thanks. Doc Holliday, Marshall head coach, wrapping up another very impressive season with a bowl victory. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Hi, it's Tony Caridi, and I've got a great West Virginia story I'd like you to watch. Doddridge County's Clara Santucci is in the final stages of training in her bid to earn a spot on the United States Olympic team in the marathon. Her story embodies West Virginia's culture of hard work, dedication, and grit. In association with the Prim Law Firm, Pikewood Creative has produced a documentary on Clara's Olympic dream. Watch the video by going to primlaw.com. That's PRIM law.com.
We're in the spirit of giving at MVB Bank this year, and our gift to you includes awesome CD products at great rates, like our 58-month 2.12 annual percentage yield CD. You can start saving today with a minimum deposit of just $1,000. Hurry in now and avoid the holiday rush. This is a present that keeps on earning year after year. MVB Bank, your financial life made easy. Member FDIC. Visit us at mvbbanking.com.
You're listening to Talkline on MetroNews. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
At MVB Bank, we have one simple objective: to give you the very best of everything you could possibly want and need in a bank. That's it. We believe most people just want a really great bank with top-notch products like checking with cash back, nationwide ATM fee refunds, great CD and car loan rates, and more. Together with our awesome team and the convenience of state-of-the-art technology they can count on. It's no extra fluff, just good, honest banking. We're MVB Bank, your most valuable bank. Member FDIC.
there. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Cops.
That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Talkline on MetroNews. Welcome back. So why are my daffodils blooming? They aren't really yet, but they're coming up. I mean, people have been telling me my daffodils are coming up. The rhododendron about ready to bloom. John Porter is WV Extension Kanawha County Ag and Natural Resources Agent. He joins us on MetroNews Talkline. John, why are the daffodils about to bloom?
Well, we have all of this warm weather thanks to the El Nino effect. And so we have this warm weather and stuff that's really the early blooming stuff from spring is sort of gotten a little confused and blooming. I know I had a dandelion blooming in my yard the day after Christmas. So there's lots of stuff out there blooming.
Well, that tells me a couple things. One is you need to get busy and weed your yard, John. But is this going to affect anything in the spring?
So this will have a few effects. Number one, anything that's blooming now, the buds formed in the fall. So the blooms that are blooming now will not be replaced for spring blooming. So those things that are blooming now won't be as pretty come spring. So we'll lose some of the blooms there. The other thing that I would be concerned about would be if you have something like a fruit tree. If those start blooming, you're going to lose those fruit because they're not going to bloom again. So we could have that effect is a definite probability.
John, that's something we need to check on. I need to call over to the WV Experimental Farm in Carneysville or some of the orchard folks over in the eastern panhandle of West Virginia or over in the Shenandoah Valley because that would be a fear. Now, I don't know when apple and peach trees bloom, and I don't know if there's been any reports of that happening yet, but that would be problematic, you're saying, if they do.
Right. So the way most of those trees work is they actually have to have a chilling period, so a number of hours between 32 degrees and 45 degrees each winter to bloom. So if, say, the apple tree needs 400 hours of temperatures at 32 degrees, if we reach that and then it warms up immediately afterward, it could bloom. So luckily, we have that sort of built-in mechanism to hold off on that. But on the flip side, if your tree has a high requirement, let's say it needs 1,000 hours of temperatures between 32 and 45, and we don't get there, it could also have reduced blooms in the spring. So there's sort of a double-edged sword there.
Mm-hmm. John Porter's with us, WV Extension Kanawha County Agent and Natural Resources Agent. Any other effects you've seen or know of with this unseasonably mild weather on?
I've seen some things leafing out. I have rhubarb coming up in the garden. So those things will, if it gets cold, they'll sort of be killed back to the ground. That shouldn't have a huge effect. They can regrow. But things could be a little less cold hardy if we do get back to the colder temperatures. So we do have to watch out for that. But otherwise, it's not going to be a huge damaging effect unless we have something to go wrong with the fruit trees and they start blooming too early.
Okay. So it's simply the warmer weather that's causing this to happen, right?
Yes. So we have this happen. We have the El Nino effect going on this year, and it seems to be a little bit more dramatic, probably thanks to the real climate variability we've had the last few years, thanks to some climate change issues. But other than that, that's what's causing it.
Gotcha. John Porter, WV Extension, Kanawha County, Ag and Natural Resources Agent. John, thank you very much. And do me a favor, springtime, get that weed killer out there. Get those dandelions out of your yard. It sets a bad example for the extension guy to have dandelions in his yard, okay?
Will do.
And the next thing you're going to tell me is you have ground moles that you can't get rid of.
Well, no, I don't have those.
All right, I'll send mine your way. Thank you. Hey, John, good talking to you. Thanks for coming on.
You're welcome.
All right, bye-bye. Ground moles. You can't get rid of them. I don't care what you say. When we come back, we're going to talk with Alan Taylor, MetroNews Sports, about WVU leaving tomorrow for the bowl.
West Virginia has balanced its budget on the back of the coal industry ever since we became a state 150 years ago. Historically, the coal industry and coal-fired electric utilities have accounted for over 60% of all business taxes, while high-energy wages contribute a disproportionate share of income taxes, and coal severance dollars sustain important programs in all counties. All told, the industry infuses over $26 billion to our state's economy. Coal alone has paid down nearly $1 billion of the state's workers' compensation debt. Consequently, all state businesses have experienced major reductions in workers' comp benefits. The coal industry has always supported our people and our economy, but it's under attack from the Obama administration and the EPA. It's fighting to survive. Coal taxes in West Virginia are higher than our surrounding states. We're losing coal markets to our neighbors. Let's get our mines and coal miners working again. Support a reduced tax rate for mining, paid for by West Virginia Coal Association.
A charity that's close to hearts and close to home. Burlington United Methodist Family Services has been changing lives by preventing harm and providing hope and healing to hurting West Virginia children and families for over 100 years. When you make a charitable contribution to Burlington, you're not only reducing your own tax burden, but helping provide crucial services across our state. Learn more about Burlington and see how you can help today at bumfs.org. Burlington United Methodist Family Services.
This is Talkline on MetroNews. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
At MVB Bank, we have one simple objective: to give you the very best of everything you could possibly want and need in a bank. That's it. We believe most people just want a really great bank with top-notch products like checking with cash back, nationwide ATM fee refunds, great CD and car loan rates, and more. Together with our awesome team and the convenience of state-of-the-art technology they can count on. It's no extra fluff, just good, honest banking. We're MVB Bank, your most valuable bank. Member FDIC.
Almost there. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Cops.
That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Ringing the new year at the 3rd annual Downtown Countdown in Princeton's Emerging Arts District. This New Year's Eve celebration features 5 stages of live music, street performers, a ball drop countdown, fireworks at the stroke of midnight, and more. For more ideas for kicking off the new year in the Mountain State, you can check out the website, go to WV.com. Go to WV.com or call 1-800-225-5982. Alan Taylor, MetroNews Sports, will be ringing in the new year in the greater Phoenix Metroplex for the Motel 6 Cactus Bowl. He joins us on MetroNews Talkline. Good morning, AT.
Hey, Happy. How you doing, buddy?
Fine, thank you. Merry Christmas. By the way, I know that during the year, you gave your lovely fiance the ring. So did that cover Christmas as well? Did you have to come up with some new product for Christmas, or did the ring cover the whole year?
She said admirably that the ring covered it.
Nice.
We know different, so we had to work in some other things.
We know different. There's a guy who's already got it. You're not even married. You already get it.
I've learned from you guys. I've learned how to treat people from the Hoppy Kercheval philosophy. So that came in very handy this year.
Yeah, well played. So West Virginia arrives tomorrow in Phoenix. What are they going to do? Holgerson, you have a story today. Holgerson gives them 2 nights to have fun. What's that mean?
Yeah, well, we saw some of the players out in Memphis on Beale Street last year having fun the first couple of nights, but they start to rein that in. And I was just asking Dana if he's learned anything from Houston to Texas Tech, because you hear some coaches are more lenient, some coaches take a more business-like approach, but he's of the mindset that the first couple of days there, even though you do have some practices and some bowl activities, that they get to roam and get to experience the town a little bit. And so he's going to do that. The latest curfew will be tomorrow night, and they'll back that curfew down the night after, and then the final 2 nights before the football game, they're going to have to stay on the ground. But this hotel apparently has really got the kids excited. I've never heard players mention just wanting to see a hotel as much as the one they're staying in. So I don't think they're stuck at a small roadside motel court or anything. They're really going to have plenty to do there the last 2 nights before the game.
Yeah, and they're in Scottsdale, right?
Yeah, and the game is technically in Phoenix, and I'm not sure where the line of delineation there is, but Chase Field is in Phoenix, and as we know, that's about 8 miles from the Arizona State campus. So it's going to feel like a road game in more ways than one for West Virginia.
Yeah, it really is. There's always a balance. I mean, everybody does the bowl game stories. There's a balance. They need to have some fun, but they need to practice, and you can't keep them cooped up in the hotel. They don't want to be there too long, because then it's about the fourth day. It's like, hey, go play the game. So there's always that, and I'm not sure how much that matters, but it seems to be a bowl story. It needs to be done.
It is, and we've had a few players from other schools sent home. A kid from Miami was sent home after the first night in El Paso. And then Virginia Tech had 2 sent home from Shreveport. You can insert the line there that maybe they were the winners after all by being sent home from Shreveport after one night instead of having to stay for 4.
Wow, that is cold, man. The Shreveport Chamber of Commerce just go ahead.
Shreveport takes a bad attitude. That's actually a great bowl game. So every time somebody jumps on Shreveport, it's easy to do, but that is a great bowl game. So those guys were sitting home after the first night. So, they probably busted curfew or did Lord knows what. And they're seniors, too. So I'm typically more worried about seniors at these games, because if they're not huge players, not NFL prospects, and heck, even if they are NFL prospects, this really feels like a sort of a last go-round kind of deal, and sometimes the game is secondary to the activity. So, West Virginia has a lot of seniors. I talked to K.J. Dillon about this. He seems to think, of course, that all their guys are really tuned in. And for the most part, these seniors for West Virginia have really shown that sort of capacity. You haven't had a lot of trouble out of that class. So
if you did not have decent leadership on the team, they would have cashed it in after October. You would have had a lot of problems after that.
That's good point. And even Juwan Sider, he was a part of that Insight.com Bowl team from '98 that went out to Phoenix. He says, I don't remember having a good time. I remember losing to Missouri. So he's tried to tell these guys, you're going to remember the outcome of the game far more than you're going to remember a few hours out at a club in a different city. There's going to be other weekends with other clubs, but you're only going to get so many chances to play in a bowl game. So I think he's trying to work that angle on them.
Alan Taylor, MetroNews Sports, his story today. Holgerson giving players 2 nights to have fun, and then it's game focus. And inevitably, AT, if West Virginia would lose, people will say, well, they partied too much, they didn't practice. I've been to a lot of bowl games, and usually it's just pretty tightly constrained. Okay, as you said, you get some time off, you get some, but they keep them pretty busy, because they know they don't want them to have a lot of downtime, so activity scheduled for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like spring break and then you convene for an hour of practice a day. It's pretty limited, and Dan even mentioned some police accompaniment at certain places. this week, so I'm not sure how that's going to work out. But and what he's doing is pretty standard with the big coaches. These guys are getting out at other places. It truly is a reward, and they don't, unless it's a national playoff type game, they typically don't bring them in on lockdown and just not let them have any fun at all.
However, having said that, and we'll talk more about this later this week, however, this, I think, stands as an important game for Dana Holgorsen and this West Virginia team, more so for the head coach. I mean, the season ended with on a sour note, the regular season, and with a lot of discussions about Dana's future, so much so that after an apparently erroneous press report, there had to be a statement issued saying that Holgorsen's going to be back next year. Still, there's speculation about whether there will be renegotiate the terms of the agreement. You had the story about Gibby. So I think this game looms a lot larger than a lot of bowl games for teams where the coaching position is very, very secure. You agree or disagree?
Oh, you're absolutely right. I mean, it may not matter on the national scale. I mean, ESPN's not going to interrupt whatever they're doing to break in with live score updates, but it's big for that staff because they haven't had a bowl victory since the Orange Bowl, and it's big for the kids coming back because imagine how tough and how much drudgery there is with that off-season workout program anyway. Much less when you're coming back after another bowl loss, and more people saying 7-6 isn't good enough. How do you get jacked up for January off-season workouts coming in off of another loss? So I think it's big for the psyche of the program, bigger than a Cactus Bowl would typically be.
You think so?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to affect the tenor of how they open spring practice and next season.
I mean, if you go out and you lay wood, which I think would be, and you just don't know. You don't know in bowl games. You don't know. I have no idea about Arizona State or their psyche. You have to think that they are down because of the high expectations. So I have no clue about them. But if West Virginia went out and somehow laid wood, then you'd go, okay, But if they go out and lay an egg, and there's a lot at stake, a lot more at stake in this bowl game than there normally is in a bowl game.
There is. And I think West Virginia gets the advantage of, and I call it an advantage of the perceived advantage of if they beat Arizona State, you did it in their backyard. I don't know what sort of advantage, if any, Arizona State is actually going to get from basically staying home for this bowl. I think that can actually work to their detriment because where's the excitement? A bowl trip is about going places and seeing new places. This would be like West Virginia playing a bowl game, I don't know, almost at Mountaineer Field, but certainly even much closer than going up to Pitt to play a bowl game. So I don't think that Arizona State can be that excited about it, except for the fact they are playing in a baseball field that they haven't played in before. So that may be enough to make it feel like a bowl.
It's where coaching comes in. Read Alan Taylor's story. Holgorsen giving players 2 nights to have fun. Then it's game focus, and AT will be covering the bowl all this week with text, with video, with pictures. It'll all be there. And our coverage starts at 6 o'clock Saturday. 6 o'clock Saturday, our coverage starts for West Virginia and Arizona State. AT, we appreciate your time. Talk to you soon.
Thanks.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Here in West Virginia, there are 2 great jackpot games you can play from the West Virginia Lottery. Powerball has drawings on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Mega Millions has drawings on Tuesdays and Fridays. The Powerball jackpot, $300 million. The Mega Millions jackpot, $117 million. Please play responsibly. Thanks for being with us today. Glad you got through the holidays safely, and we're going to be here all this week, including bowl coverage of West Virginia and Arizona State, all that and more. I want to thank Joe Stevens, Joe Nelson, our producer today, also Deborah Martinelli. I'm Hoppy Kercheval. This is Talkline on MetroNews. MetroNews is the voice of West Virginia.